This video we are going to be talking about the fact that we're not broken. We don't need fixing. But there are aspects within all of us that need tweaking, need adjustment, need balance. And so that's what we're going to get into. Hi and welcome to Oaklaw Door. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Claire Attio. For those that are returning subscribers, thank you. For those that are new, welcome in. And so, as I said on that very quick intro, we are not broken, we do not need fixing. And we all just need to take that on board. Yes, are we learning? Are there many more conversations and acknowledgement of the trauma that we hold? And when we're talking about trauma, we are talking about unresolved situations, emotions that we are still holding on to, that is making us reactive. And so that can look like anything. That could be anything for any one of us, because we are all individual, and it depends on the life experiences we've had, those formative years, how much nurturing we got, how much emotional input we got or didn't get, will affect us, will affect how we perceive situations, will affect how we respond or react to situations. And whilst it's really important to dig in and pull out and take the lids off those boxes, there are some of those boxes, to be honest, some of those boxes do not need to be touched, especially if it is going to cause more trauma. And so we need to be very careful with what we're doing. There's a push, clear it out. And I know I've done lots and lots of videos as I've been on my journey. The one thing that I have always said, because I always think of trauma and looking and going into those spaces as the dark night of the soul. That is the spiritual term for it. It's just a terminology that we use, but I'm comfortable with that because for me it explains it in a much bigger way. But I've always said, and for those of you that follow me and those that kind of are in my group, I have always said, please do not chase the dark night of the soul. It will find you when you are ready. That's not to say that we shouldn't be reflective. We shouldn't look at some of the aspects of dysfunction that we are aware of and start to take steps to make those changes. But it's also really important to understand that when we start to make those changes, we're going to come up against resistance because of the way our brains work. We are going to have that conscious and that subconscious, and they're going to be at loggerheads because that subconscious are patterns, behaviors that we learned to keep us safe when we felt very vulnerable, or we didn't have the skill set because of our age to know how to deal with that situation. And we take that into, unless we review it, unless we look at it, we take that into our adulthood, and then we have less desirable, let's put it that way, reactions to situations, rather than be able to take a breath, step back and become responsive to that situation. How many of you got a phobia, a fear I know for a long, long time I had a fear of spiders, and that's because I've got two ugly older brothers that used to capture the spiders and put them in our beds, and so as a young child that gave me a fear of spiders. I came up with all these imaginations as a child, as you do, of thinking that spiders were a terrible thing, and I must be frightened. But as my life turned out, most of my life I've been on my own, and so I know in my 20s I used to squat them, and then obviously as I've been on my spiritual journey, it's the recognition that actually no, this is another creature, this is another sentient being, and who am I to squat that? Now that sounds very woohoo for a lot of people. I'm not perfect. If there's a mosquito, I still squat it. It's not that I embrace all of nature, because I'm still working on myself. I'm still human. But I'm able now to capture the spiders that run around in the house, especially kind of September, October, when they kind of want to come in ready for the winter. I capture them and I just take them back outside again. We can teach ourselves, but we have to break it down into bite-sized, manageable pieces. Otherwise, we're setting ourselves up for failure. And I say failure very tongue-in-cheek, because there is no such thing as failure. There is just learning experiences and learning outcomes. And when we are able to change that mindset in that way, it frees us from a lot of harshness that we can project onto ourselves. I had a father who was very much a perfectionist, and whilst that is the most fantastic trait that he gave me, because it's given me my drive, it's given me my stamina, it's given me my persistence, it's a double-edged sword, because none of us are going to be able to sustain being perfect, whatever perfect is, because it's a bloody spectrum anyway, all of the time. We're setting ourselves up not to achieve when we're always wanting to be at the top. And it's not about being at the top, it's about creating balance. It's creating that balance and that comfortability where we're good at. I am a bit of a workaholic, and I'm aware that other people could look at that and go, oh well, there's no balance there, she's out of balance. Da, 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 da. For me, there is balance. I still practice the self-care. When I'm tired, I take time out. Yes, do I work a lot of hours? Absolutely I do. But I do it in a way that supports me. I don't get stressed out. I don't think, oh, I've got all this work to do and I never get a day's rest and blah, 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 blah. I love what I do. I love being able to share my own insights here. Yes, do we talk about balance, and we talk about all the areas of that balance? Yes, we do. Now, if you're a workaholic and you're constantly stressed and you're neglecting your family, or you're neglecting another part of your wheel of existence, then there's no balance there. But if you're a workaholic and you're still able to do all those things, and you're still able to nurture and nourish yourself, and you are healthy, and you are happy, and you have functional relationships, and you are spending time with your children, and you are doing all of the aspects, and you're full of joy. There is a level of balance there. Does it need tweaking a little bit still? Yes, I'm aware that I still need to do a little bit of tweaking on mine. But it's about being honest of where you're at. And I think although it's absolutely wonderful to see that people are starting to understand how the mind works and starting to really take on the dynamics of programming and learnt behaviour, even though that is coming to the forefront, and all that type of terminology and understanding is becoming mainstream now, I think we need to be very mindful that we don't still fall into that sense of lack. Not because there's a lack of education or understanding, but there's a sense of lack. Oh, I've not got this right, and I've not got that right, and I've not got this right, and I still need to heal that, and I still need to heal this, and I have that trauma from there, and I have this trauma from here, and this is making me do that. Many of us have traumatic experiences that don't have a spill over into our current lives. And when we don't have a spillover, when it's not affecting us, then there is nothing wrong with just picking up that box within the mind, as it were, that filing cabinet, and taking that file out and just going, I don't need you anymore. We don't have to torture ourselves. We can just consciously make the decision that was that, this is now. Do a complete and honest review. Is that having an adverse effect in any aspect of your life right now? And if it isn't, then you can let it go. It doesn't have to be long-winded. Now, there will be other aspects that do need to be delved into, do need to do work on, maybe talk therapy, maybe breath work, maybe somatic release. There's a whole host of different modalities out there, and it's up to you to choose which one will be of benefit to you, and it's a case of just being open-minded and try it, and not to give up on yourself, because if one thing doesn't work, that doesn't mean, oh, this isn't ever going to work, I'm never going to get rid of this. It's about just trying it. It may be that you're trying to do an aspect of that trauma that you're not yet ready. You have some mental gymnastics, as I like to call it, to do, to kind of put things in the right order. Because very often what happens when we do have traumatic events is we build bridges of safety or walls around us. And so sometimes, more times than not, we need to start to take those walls down. We need to do the mental work to go, actually, I don't need to do that. A great example is a really bad relationship, and I'm never getting involved with anybody ever again. That's a classic. We've all done that at some point. And we put a wall across our hearts, and it's like, no enter. And so before we can actually heal the heart, we've got to remove the bricks from that wall. And then we need to look at, okay, why? Why did what was the part that we played within that dynamic of that relationship that was dysfunctional? What did we allow? What did we do? What did we not do? and really look at our whys with whatever that was for us personally. And that's where I say the mental gymnastics, because we have to kind of, it's like masses of ropes, and you have to kind of untangle them until they're all in a line. If you try and cut through 10 or 20 ropes all together, you're going to be there for hours sawing at them. Whereas if you untangle them first so that they're all in their correct place, you can just grab hold of one rope and cut that. And then you can get on with your life. And then you come back in a couple of weeks' time when you rejuvenated yourself and you think, oh yeah, I'm ready to do a bit more now. And you grab hold of another one and you cut that. And it's your time frame. Some people may go back the day after. Other people may take a year or 10 years to go back. And there is no normal. There is no, oh, you have to do this. It's important you listen to your own body, your time frame. Now, yes, it may be that your ego, those safety mechanisms that you put into place, you go, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. Acknowledge that. Acknowledge that a fear is still playing out. It's like my fear of spiders. I acknowledged I had a fear of spiders. Once I acknowledged that I had a fear of spiders, it didn't mean that my fear of spiders went away. It meant, okay, I'm taking ownership that I have a ridiculous fear of spiders. And we need to be careful, because that probably wasn't a really good example then, actually. It wasn't a very mindful one, that's for sure. And again, that is a learning aspect, because it's not about being ridiculous. That fear is real. It was real for me. And I needed to look at that. And I was like, why me, this huge person to this tiny spider? That's where the ridiculousness came in. Not the fact that the fear was ridiculous, but the ridiculousness was for me that I was 100 times bigger than this little spider, and yet I'm there fearful. So when you use language like that, be aware of what you're actually saying, because what you don't want to do is to diminish your fear or diminish your trauma. You don't want to be belittling it. And so if you do come up with language like that, then it's important to just take a few minutes and look into why you've used that language. Where has that come from? As I said, mine was because I was 100 times bigger than this little 8-legged thing. None of us are broken. And so we don't need fixing, but we do need to be consciously aware and start to discover who we are, why we do what we do, and the things that we do that don't function for us, that we don't like, that are not enhancing our lives. What can we do to make those changes? I hope this has been of help. If nothing else, it would have brought questions up within yourself. Just jot them down. Just put them in your journals or on a piece of paper. You don't have to dig into them when you're watching this video. Write them down and then ask yourself to be taken back to them when you're ready. If you've liked the video, then hit that like button. If you've not yet subscribed, then hit the subscribe and the notification bell, and you will be notified when new videos go up. Until next time, sweet souls, bye bye.